guys, we're going to see if we can take this pile of scrap metal and turn it into log ribs for the back of this truck. Make a light duty log ribs, 2 of them. So the idea is it's going to actually fit into the side pockets. I'll have a piece that connects. And so for the actual standards going up, I have this I-beam. This trailer I-beam came from underneath my house. This is the tongue. I had to cut it out. I was digging a crawl space, and so I removed it. But anyway, they're all 8 inches, 2-inch face, 1/4 inch steel, plenty for light duty, you know. Alright guys, so we gotta process this pallet with 2x2, which is gonna be my runners. So I'm gonna try a Sawzall. I only have 1 blade left. That was pretty fast, and I'll still have to clean up these cuts, of course, but I think this is probably the way to go. Oh, I have to straighten that. There's my hammer. Alright, so I'm cutting some 45s. Triangulation. Alright, now I gotta cut another end. Well, the sun came out. All right, so my Vulcan's down. My 220 went out. I'm thinking the wire shorted out, one of the wires. So I'm down to my Harbor Freight flux core, which I've built some pretty cool stuff with this. So, I mean, this is only 1/4 inch. Yeah, I think we're all right. Alright, I'm about to weld the side pocket metal on. That'll fit in the sidewalk. So I'm going to do both sides, and then I want to sand it up, and then I'll weld in my 45s, and then after that it's paint. Rust-Oleum, because this is rusty. There's a lot of rust there on that one. Those are just some crappy tack welds. Now we're going to set it up on the end of the truck and make sure everything fits, and then we'll do our 45s. Alright, so there's kind of like the finished product. I went ahead and put the 45s in. I need to grind some welds, grind some metal, and prime it. And, you know, if it gives me any problems, I might plate it. So do you guys still plate? Okay-ish welds. Don't focus on this. I'm gonna clean that up. So it's removable where it comes out, but you can already see it's not like really wobbly or anything. You could drive down the road like that. My only fear is, like, if I had a lot of side pressure, would it make the center buckle? So I'm thinking about doubling that up because I got extra 2x2. But so far I'm thinking it's okay. So got to build one more, which I kind of do this on my lunch break, and I'm not working on this old house. So yeah. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you how I went ahead and built another one. I felt like I don't have to film that because, you know, I already filmed one. So next is these gussets. And so this is 10-inch C-channel that I got from the scrapyard. It's actually sitting in a pile, and I brought scrap, and I asked the guy, can I have that? He said, sure. So, yeah, it cancels out. But what I've done is I've measured where I need to cut, and that gives me just enough on each side. Here's one I already did. I haven't welded it in, but I just, you know, cut it, and that's just going to give me a little extra support. I'll grind those welds, and also I want to cut this. I'm going to triangulate it, and you can see some of my welds are pretty good. You know, I haven't grinded them or anything, but I definitely want to grind, weld, and make sure everything's strong. And that's why I'm doing the gusset. But thought I'd film myself cutting this. I like to start it with an angle grinder, and then I just use the Sawzall. Alright, film on. Alright, so I ground this and I've clamped it, and to make sure it's square, now I'm gonna do a couple tack welds, and then that way I can take it off the clamp and then clamp this one, do the same thing, and then I'll weld it from the back side, multiple locations. But first I gotta do some tack welds, and hopefully I'm using my nice Vulcan dyed. Just sad. That was my good welder. That one's about $1,000 welder, but this little Harbor Freight one keeps on welding. So you just got to do a lot of grinding and prep work, and you know, if I feel like the welds aren't good enough, I'll get a stick welder and finish her. But all right, guys, so I got that piece tacked on there. Some hideous welds. I don't want to show them because my Vulcan is dead. I'm gonna try to work on it, but nothing. So I'm back to using my FlexCore 125, which does work. It's just you gotta do a lot of prep. So all these welds will be ground, and I'll do a couple passes, ensure safety. But right now I want to go ahead and cut my 45s on the ends. I'm gonna do them up there too, and yeah, after I cut my 45s, then I'm gonna flip it over and weld from the underside. Weld, grind, weld, grind. Probably won't film a lot of that. Three more times. 3 more times. That's a pretty clean cut for a Sawzall, to be honest with you. Christine. All right, we're almost time to flip it, grind it, and then weld some more, and then paint this thing. We'll be done with this. I'm tired of this. It's one of those projects you start and you're like, oh, it'll take me 10 minutes. 18 hours later, you're like, why? No, it's not been 18 hours. It just feels like longer because when you film things, it takes a lot longer, to be honest with you. Yeah. But it's the nature of the beast, you know. It's something I'd build anyway. It's not like I'm building for content. There's a lot of people that do that. They buy shit just for content, and then you never see those items again. I actually use the crap. I have, like that little shack, I use that a lot. All these trucks I use, you know. They all got different purposes, you know. All right, so we're gonna cut this. Well, actually just clean it up and weld it here so we have a secondary foot. Keep it from rocking on the truck. Just using scraps at this point. And ground and welded again. All these welds will be cleaned up. And I've built it in such a way I could also bolt it. So here's one that's already been finished, and you can see I could run 2, 3, 4 bolts. So that's what I'm gonna watch for. If the welds start cracking, I'm gonna bolt it. But yeah, I should have made it. I think I've made it pretty redundant. Yeah, let's see what happens. Can't spray paint, so it's a good time to clean up and get ready to install them. Hopefully the wife got the message and gets me what to spray paint, but probably not. Yeah, first coat of paint's dry. I'm going to have to coat it again, but I want to show you guys how easy it is for one man to install these. Famous last words. Oh, that paint's not dry, is it? Very good. Okay, there they are. They fit in your sock pockets. I just pinched my finger. But yeah, now they just need to be painted again. Yeah, this little kick out leg keeps it from going too far over. Got those on each side, which was the scrap from the 45 cut. So I think they look good. Well, here's the finished product being used. So this is about as max as I want to load it. With oak anyway, that's mostly oak. I have a little bit of pine, but most of that is oak. And probably going to be tipping the scales around 6 tons, I think. And yeah, this is actually on my property. I'm building a road back here to get to the further part of my property. These were trees that blew down in the storm across my fence line, and they're still millable. The bark's starting to fall off of them, so I really need to mill them this month. As you can see, this pine broke when I lifted it, or I dropped it, so that needs to be cut off. But yeah, these work pretty good. I now have a really nice stick welder, one of those we call it, I think it's a Renegade or whatever welder generator Harbor Freight sells. So I really like to use that to kind of stiffen it, you know, especially here on this thicker metal, kind of go over my welds again. But yeah, this is a good 5 to 6 tons of wood, and really all it has to go is a half mile up the road to the mill where I keep the mill, so that's okay. And the majority of them are at like 10 foot. That one's 12, that one's 10, that one's 10. I think it might be an 8 in there somewhere. But pretty good. You know, allows me to stack it up nicer, easier. And for cedar, I would be able to stack it up a lot higher because cedar's light. Yep.